Good morning, philosophers. I hope you are well today. This was one of those mornings where nothing goes as planned and nothing lets you do what you wanted to do. So a little late getting started today on our normal routines, but it will happen. Okay, let's get into it. Socrates. So with other matters, not to enumerate them all, and certainly with actions just and unjust, shameful and beautiful, good and bad, about which we are now deliberating, should we follow the opinion of the many and fear it, or that of the one? If there is one who has knowledge of these things, and before whom we feel fear and shame more than before all the others. If we do not follow his directions, we shall harm and corrupt that part of ourselves that is improved by just actions, and destroyed by unjust actions. Or is there nothing in this? Crito. I think there certainly is, Socrates. Come now, if we ruin that which is improved by health and corrupted by disease, by not following the opinions of those who know, is life worth living for us when that is ruined? And that is the body, is it not? Crito. Yes. And is life worth living with a body that is corrupted and in bad condition? Crito. In no way. And is life worth living for us with that part of us corrupted that unjust action harms and just action benefits? Or do we think that part of us, whatever it is, that is concerned with justice and injustice, is inferior to the body? Crito. Not at all. Is it more valuable? Crito. Much more. We should not then think so much of what the majority will say about us, but what he will say who understands justice and injustice, the one that is, and the truth itself. So that in the first place you were wrong to believe that we should care for the opinion of the many about what is just, beautiful, good, and their opposites. Wait. So that, in the first place, you were wrong to believe that we should care for the opinion of the many about what is just, beautiful, good, and their opposites. But someone might say the many are able to put us to death. Oh man, I was just about to say that. I'm like, Socrates is deferring to the opinion of the society on that the death penalty should follow impiety. Crito, that too is obvious, Socrates, and someone might well say so. Yeah, I just did. Socrates. And my admirable friend, that argument that we have gone through remains, I think, as before. Examine the following statement in turn as to whether it stays the same or not, that the most important thing is not life, but the good life. Crito. It stays the same. And that the good life, the beautiful life, and the just life are the same. Does that still hold or not? Crito. It does hold. As we have agreed so far, we must examine next whether it is just for me to try to get out of here when the Athenians have not acquitted me. If it is seen to be just, we will try to do so. If it is not, we will abandon the idea. As for those questions you raise about money, reputation, the upbringing of children, Crito, those considerations in truth belong to those people who easily put men to death and would bring them to life again if they could without thinking. I mean the majority of men. For us, however, since our argument leads to this, the only valid consideration, as we were saying just now, is whether we should be acting rightly in giving money in gratitude to those who will lead me out of here, and ourselves helping with the escape, or whether in truth we shall do wrong in doing all this. If it appears that we shall be acting unjustly, then we have no need at all to take into account whether we shall have to die if we stay here and keep quiet, or suffer in another way rather than do wrong. Crito. I think you put that beautifully, Socrates. But see what we should do. Socrates. Let us examine the question together, my dear friend, and if you can make any objection while I am speaking, make it, and I will listen to you. But if you have no objection to make, my dear Crito, then stop now from saying the same thing so often that I must leave here against the will of the Athenians. I think it important, excuse me guys, my allergies are still there. I think it important to persuade you before I act and not to act against your wishes. See whether the start of our inquiry is adequately stated and try to answer what I ask you in the way you think best. Crito, I shall try. Socrates, do we say that one must never in any way do wrong willingly? Or must one do wrong in one way and not the other? Is to do wrong never good or admirable, as we have agreed in the past, or have all these former agreements been washed out during the last few days? Have we at our age failed to notice for some time that in our serious discussions we were no different from children? Above all, is the truth such as we used to say it was, whether the majority agree or not, and whether we must still suffer worse things than we do now, or will be treated more gently, that nonetheless wrongdoing or injustice is in every way harmful and shameful to the wrongdoer? Do we say so or not? Crito, we do. So, one must never do wrong. Crito, certainly not. Socrates, nor must one, when wronged, inflict wrong in return, as the majority believe, since one must never do wrong. That seems to be the case. Come now, should one do harm to anyone or not, Crito? One must never do so. Socrates, well then, if one is done harm, is it right, as the majority say, to do harm in return, or is it not? Crito, it is never right. What? Hang on. Nor must one, when wronged, inflict wrong in return, as the majority believe, since one must never do wrong. What? Is this pacifism, or am I misunderstanding? Well then, if one has done harm, is it right, as the majority say, to do harm in return, or is it not? Crito says it is never right. Socrates, doing harm to people is no different from wrongdoing. Crito, that is true. Socrates, one should never do wrong in return, nor do any man harm, no matter what he may have done to you. What? And Crito, see that you do not agree to this, contrary to your belief, for I know that only a few people hold this view or will hold it, and there is no common ground between those who hold this view and those who do not, but they inevitably despise each other's views. So then consider very carefully whether we have this view in common and whether you agree. And let this be the basis of our deliberation, that neither to do wrong nor to return a wrong is ever correct, nor is doing harm in return for harm done. Well, then the jury's decision to harm Socrates in response to his supposedly impiously poisoning the minds of the youth was wrong. Or do you disagree and do not share this view as a basis for discussion? I have held it for a long time and still hold it now, but if you think otherwise, tell me now. If, however, you stick to our former opinion, then listen to the next point. Crito, I stick to it and agree with you, so say on. I think premise 1 is the problem, personally. Socrates, then I state the next point, or rather I ask you, when one has come to an agreement that is just with someone, should one fulfill it or cheat on it? Crito, one should fulfill it. Socrates, see what follows from this. If we leave here without the city's permission, are we harming people whom we should least do harm to? And are we sticking to a just agreement or not? Crito, I cannot answer your questions, Socrates. I do not know. Socrates, look at it this way. If, as we were planning to run away from here, or whatever one should call it, the laws and the state came and confronted us and asked, tell me, Socrates, what are you intending to do? Do you not by this action you are intend to destroy us, the laws, and indeed the whole city as far as you are concerned? Or do you think it possible for a city not to be destroyed if the verdicts of its courts have no force but are nullified and set at naught by private individuals? What shall we consider to this and other such arguments? For many things could be said, especially by an orator on behalf of this law we are destroying, which orders that the judgments of the courts shall be carried out. Shall we say in answer, the city wronged me, and its decision was not right? Shall we say that? Or what? Crito. Yes, by Zeus, Socrates, that is our answer. That was what I just said. Socrates. Then what if the laws said, what that the agreement between us, Socrates, or was it to respect the judgments that the city came to? And if we wondered at their words, they would perhaps add, Socrates, do not wonder at what we say, but answer, since you are accustomed to proceed by question and answer. Come now, what accusation do you bring against us and the city, that you should try to destroy us? Did we not first bring you to birth? And was it not through us that your father married your mother and begat you? Tell you, did you find anything to criticize in those of us who are concerned with marriage? And I would say that I do not criticize them. Or in those of us concerned with the nurture of babies and the education that you too received. Is this the first Morodes argument we're listening to right now? Social contract is in progress, ladies and gentlemen. Social contract. And this might be the most explicit, the most maximal social contract I've ever heard. They're basically saying, don't you credit us with you being alive? Like your parents meeting and you being born and you being educated. Wasn't that part of our contract? And he's agreeing with it. Insane. Were those assigned to that subject not right to instruct your father to educate you in the arts and in physical culture? And I would say that they were right. Very well, they would continue, and after you were born and nurtured and educated, could you in the first place deny that you are our offspring and servant, both you and your forefathers? If that is so, if that is so, do you think that we are on an equal footing as regards to the right, and that whatever we do to you it is right for you to do to us? You were not on an equal footing with your father as regards to the right, nor with your master if you had one, so as to retaliate for anything they did to you, to revile them if they reviled you, to beat them if they beat you, and so with many other things. Do you think you have this right to retaliation against your country and its laws? That if we undertake to destroy you and think it right to do so, you can undertake to destroy us as far as you can in return? And will you say that you are right to do so? You who truly care for virtue? Is your wisdom such as not to realize that your country is to be honored more than your mother, your father, and all your ancestors? That it is more to be revered and more sacred? And that it counts for more among the gods and sensible men? That you must worship it, yield to it, and placate its anger more than your fathers? You must either persuade it or obey its orders, and endure silence whatever it instructs you to endure, whether blows or bonds. And if it leads you into war to be wounded or killed, you must obey. To do so is right, and one must not give way or retreat, or leave one's post, both in war and in courts and everywhere else. One must obey the commands of one's city and country, or persuade it as to the nature of justice. It is impious to bring violence to bear against your mother or father. It is much more so to use it against your country. What shall we say in reply, Crito? That the laws speak the truth or not? Crito, I think they do. Wow! 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 This is distilled, purified 200 proof statism. This is the most dangerous superstition that we just read right here. Oh my God. I'm just reading back over. If that is so, do you think that we're on equal footing as regards to the right, and that whatever we do to you is right for you to do to us? Yes. 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 Because just because you're magical guards working for this government that never asked you to consent to its existence doesn't give you magical authority over people, doesn't place you on unequal footing, doesn't place you above other people. You were not on equal footing with your father as regards to this right, nor with your master if you had one, so as to retaliate for anything they did to you, to revile them if they reviled you, to beat them if they beat you, and so with many other things. Wrong. You are on equal footing. You are as deserving of self-ownership as anyone else. Wow. I think I'm going to leave this here and marvel on this a while. Maybe read the paragraph again next time. That's insane. Woo! Woo! All right. Ah, man. Okay, so what am I thinking about today? Well, the day kind of opened up chaotically. Most of my routines got disrupted, so when I finish this, I'm going to try and pick up my routines where they left off. We have to expect, as part of having habits, when we try and improve ourselves with habits, we have to expect and plan for days when those habits get disrupted. And that's okay, because some days are different. In fact, we probably would want some variation from time to time, right? But we also have to have a plan in place for what to do when that happens. Today is one of those days. Today I have some conflicts that are in progress in the medical arena for my family. And those are never fun because, the doctors think that they are the unquestionable authority and are shocked and awed when you exert a little self-ownership in the same way Socrates would apparently be shocked and awed if you said that you would have the right to destroy a group of people calling themselves a country if that group of people attempted to destroy you. Man, boy, would I love to red pill Socrates. Man. All right. So today we're going to refocus on the habits. Today we're going to plan ahead for the conflicts that we know are coming, because that is what you're supposed to do with conflicts, not just worry and fret about them, but know that they're coming, embrace that fact, feel your feelings about them, and then overcome your feelings and handle business. Handling business. Today, we'll be handling business. Let's handle some business. All right, guys. Have a fantastic day.